energy cannot be created or destroyed. Okay, so that's another word of saying it's infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doesn't sound finite to me at all. Doesn't sound finite to me at all. Okay, now we can even go back to healing, me unparalyzing myself, and right. Okay, so I commanded more and more energy, high frequency, what I call intelligent energy,
Mm-hmm.
into my body through. I mean, there was many other things I did, but opening up my crown chakra and commanding energy into me in order to put my essentially completely destroyed body back together. There's an infinite amount of energy. There's no such thing as finite. That is the limitations of body consciousness and therefore the intellect. No disrespect to anybody, but those that can truly see would never say that, because it's endless. Tesla tapped into it. The ascended frequencies healing technique is essentially how to use what Tesla tapped into for your own healing. It's really lockstep, vibration, frequency, and energy. I hope you're enjoying the video. And if you are desirous of going deeper within yourself and deeper with me, make sure you check out my meditation masterclass. It is unlike anything. It's pinned in the comments below. Okay, so Brian, there's nothing finite. Now, what we have to start to understand is that through identification, right, with a belief, a concept, a person, it doesn't matter what it is, through identification with something, that identification is your energy. Okay, Spider-Man shooting his spider web, right? He's now stuck to the building or whatever, right? Okay, so your energy is the spider web. So whatever you identify yourself with is an energy depletor. Now, this is the ego mind identity. This is what the subconscious pattern egoic mind. This is what it does. It's constantly depleting itself because it's constantly identifying itself with a concept, an ideology, an experience, a person, right? A belief, right? That's your energy. Every single identification that you have weakens you energetically. It does not strengthen you. It does the absolute. If Spider-Man shot out 500 spider webs to all these different, where's he going? He can't go anywhere. He's got no freedom. He's got no power. Okay, it's a silly analogy, but anyway,
Right.
But when we start to understand how this works, the amount of energy, it's infinite. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. But as soon as you make an attachment or an identification, Brian, that's what depletes it. That's what depletes it. And upon, we'll use the word self-realization or enlightenment or master or whatever word you want to use, when all of these things actually just fall away, and they just fall away, you now realize that it's endless, it's infinite. There's no restrictions. There's no restrictions to the energy that you can command. There's no restrictions to anything in terms of your own creation in any way, shape, or form. So the key to understand about that is where we make this identification or misidentification. And that is the energy depleter. And by doing the exercises in the book, what you're doing is you're recognizing where you're attached or where you've identified where the indentation is within your body. You're able to see it consciously, and then you delete it. You become more and more and more powerful. And those are one of the universal qualities of what we really are, power.
So you have a really handy checklist of questions you can ask, sort of analyze the energy that you're doing. And it made me think, I really want to get your opinion on this because I'm fascinated with it. And something, my realization of it has added to my energy. So there's a Russian author that wrote a book called Reality Transurfing. And he proposes that there are these things called pendulums, which are energetic structures, not the pendulum that we swing, but energetic structures that form when multiple people think about something. It happens all the time. When, you see it on a vast scale with political parties. Everybody's addressing their thought energy towards this thing. And eventually, this energetic structure almost becomes an egregore. Like within the energy field, you'd see these whales flowing around, and they're literally just taking energy. So it could be for instance, recently we had the news event about the submarine. Everybody's talking about it. It becomes a pendulum. They're putting their energy on it, and then it starts to take your energy. And so when I started to become aware, when I'm on my phone and I'm into this group, this idea or whatever, and it's just like an energetic vampire taking my energy away, and I reclaimed this energy. For a lot of people, it might be some conspiracy theory or something they're obsessed with. and it just you can almost see like it's a conscious entity, and the whole intention of this entity is to take my energy. And when I became aware of this, I just, you see like these energetic egregores constantly everywhere. We're swimming in them, taking our energy. So when we reclaim our energy, it's when we put our attention towards anything. Sometimes that the thing that we're putting our attention toward us takes it in a more significant way, and it becomes a loop, which I have these pendulums that it can be as simple as a family. Our family can be a pendulum. What is your opinion on this? Is there ways for us to overcome this? Because, we would be dead if we didn't have to deal on some level with pendulums. It's just interacting in the culture and world we're in. But there may be strategies based upon what you're saying where we can deal with these energy vampires that are all around us all the time.
Yeah, well, whoever wrote that book is got a good handle on some of this. And by the way, that's why they call it paying attention.
Right.
Because you got it. There is an energetic debit that is happening, and that's why it's called paying attention. And it has a lot to do with black magic and how this realm is operated. Look Absolutely. Over here, look up. Okay, that's, by the way, I completely agree from a higher consciousness perspective. I completely agree with that person. We can take it further. Okay. Anytime it absolutely is an energetic debit, right? That's why we have to become completely mindful about being present. Only put your attention, because your attention is energy. Only put your attention on what you want to grow.
Right.
That's number one. If everyone could just start to work with that, because attention is energy. If you're putting your attention on something, you are feeding it energy, it will grow. And as you do that, you are paying attention to XYZ. That is an energetic debit. You are actually getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Oh, maybe that's the idea about all these distractions. Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's take it one step further. I'd like to take it one step further, Brian. Okay.
Yes.
So the astral realm, okay, and from my perspective, the astral realm, we're in the third frequency. Let me give context. From my direct experience, we're in the third frequency of the first full dimension. All physicality is within the first full dimension. Once you get out of the first full dimension, and there's 12 dimensions, there's no such thing as solidity. Everything is from a human perspective. There's no such thing as solidity. Okay. So we are in the third frequency. Energy exists frequentially, not dimensionally. Dimensions house frequencies. Okay. So the astral realm is the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh frequency, what people call dimensions, which is fine. It's not accurate, though. So the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh are the astral realms, and those are the frequencies. When everything that exists beneath that, you and I, right, and everybody else, okay, so when we start giving attention to a belief, a concept, a boogeyman, whatever it is, a conspiracy theory, right? Satan, all this kind of stuff, right? Okay. Think about what I just said about attention is energy. Whatever you put your attention on grows. Okay. We are constantly feeding and increasing the astral realm. It keeps expanding and getting thicker and denser and pressing down upon us because we keep feeding it. So how do we combat this? Is by locking ourselves in the present moment. That's the key. Meditation, right? But the self is meditation. The self exists prior to thought, prior to emotion, prior to the body, prior to bodily sensation, prior to incarnation. So the self is meditation. So once we start to marry ourselves to the present moment, all of these things, the pendulums, the astral realm, all these things go back to their natural state. And as those things go back to their natural state, your natural state, which is communion with your higher mind and your higher self, starts to become resonant and starts to become permanent. So the key is to have complete and utter control of your attention. That very well likely may be a subject of a whole nother book that I write in a whole other system in order for us to be able to do this. But it is absolutely correct. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. Only put your attention on what you want to grow. And now that we know that, If we know that the world is messed up and it's got all this kind of stuff, okay, we all know this. Most of us, we all know this. Okay, well, stop then. Stop. You know it's a mess. Put your attention on what you want to grow. That's really the key. Don't put your attention on this thing and that thing and keep increasing the astral realm, which then just starts pushing down on us. And that's actually, I digress for a second. I just want to say this. I went to a city. I won't name the city. I went to a city. It was fun. It was a business trip. Right? I went to a city and a great food and this and that. Right. And as soon as I got there, I felt like I needed to take a shower. Right. It's like the astral realm, because it's so densely populated, it's a city, because it's so densely populated, all these beliefs, all these fears, all these things, just adding to the thickness and the density of the astral realm. It was difficult for me to just go from the hotel to the meeting. It's like I was in soup.
I've had the same thing. Maybe people get used to it like a bad smell when they live there. They're not aware of it. It's like a bad smell that you kind of just get used to because you smell it all the time. But when you go there, the sense of the fear and the thought structure completely changes the color of the area that you're in. It's amazing.
Yeah, literally, and it was unbelievable. It's like I was taking, well, I might as well admit it. I was taking 3-4 showers a day. It's like I can't get this gook, and it wasn't physical, It wasn't like I was rolling in the mud. It was the density and the thickness of the astral realm. And wherever there's a lot of people, the frequencies are always lower and denser, because for the most part, we're not self-realized. So we're constantly identifying ourselves with all these things, which makes as we just said, it makes it incredibly uncomfortable. And it was unbelievable to be back in a city. And I'm going to do everything I can to try to not have any business meetings in a city.
What do we do when we find ourselves in this? I've had this happen when I've gone to large concerts. I've had it. And there's some part of the empath journey in there. As we awaken, we're more empathic. But I've noticed it in movies and in crowded cities that I go to. You can feel the pervading fear thoughts that just is there a technique or way that we can maneuver, because we have to, if we're going to be of service and help others, we have to maneuver in these unusual environments. Is there ways for us to do that other than take 3 showers a day?
Right. It isn't necessarily practical, right? So, okay. Something, what we could call this a psychic shield, if you want to call it that. The image that I often use is, think of a castle, like where maybe Merlin and King Arthur were in a castle, right? Now the castle is surrounded by the water, right? The moat, right? Okay. Right. So to protect the castle, right, they instituted the drawbridge, right? So when the drawbridge is down, anybody can go in and out of the castle, right? But when we bring that drawbridge up, that castle is protected in theory, right? That castle is now protected. You really can't get to it. It takes a tremendous effort now to get to it. Okay. So I want everyone to start thinking of themselves as raising their own drawbridge. And your energy field becomes impenetrable. Now, the key to doing this, or one of the keys to doing this, is through non-identification. So in other words, let's look at it this way. I'll try to get to a faster way to do it. The seer, what is seen, and the act of seeing is one thing. Okay, now that feels different when you do that, right? Okay, so what's happening? That, by the way, that's a fast way for enlightenment, by the way, if you can stay that way. So what's happening? Our physical eyes don't see this, Brian, but the higher mind can literally see this, and we can feel this. Okay, so what's happening is your energies are no longer leaking out and therefore being affected by the environment, just what we were talking about, right? Now, when we do what I just said, your energetic drawbridge comes up. And now you're unaffected for the most part. You're unaffected by the environment. Now you can walk through anything. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if it's a raging storm or if you're doing battle with astral entities. This is one way that you can actually do this. Now, and just imagine your energy coming out like a drawbridge, and see it around you, above you, to the side of you, beneath you, and then feel it. The seer, what is seen, and the act of seeing itself is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now feel your energy around you, and then just maintain that drawbridge. Now nothing can touch you because you're no longer in a state of identification. You realize through the seer, what is seen, and the act of seeing is one thing. You are now whole and complete. Which is the truth. You are now whole and complete. And the only reason why we get affected this way is because we're identifying with what is going on. We take it personally. The subconscious pattern, egoic mind, takes everything personal. Well, timelessness is not personal.
Mm-hmm.
So when we work with timeless teachings, we become invincible. We become nothing can affect us. But that's one way to do it. And it's really, as you know, people that are in general more evolved and empathic have a much harder time around groups of people. And that was just a crazy reminder of what it's like to be in a city with the astral realm just come crushing down on us. But if we start to use what I just said, you'll feel much better. And it's a way to maintain energetic hygiene. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, if you are desirous of more of the real you, and less of your conditioned, agitated mind, if you know that you can create a life that you're not leading right now, but you know you can, check out my meditation masterclass. It's pinned in the comments below.